tip-off to the final buzzer, Carboni's Pizzeria has your Game 3 playoff party covered. Visit one of over 30 locations, score big on great pizza, and enjoy Game 3 Friday night. Find Carboni's at carbonispizza.com.
Couple 13-14 past hour, number one in the books. It was a great first hour. What are you laughing at? So now Abbott's in here. I say it's a great first hour. He starts laughing at me. You know what? People love the Abbott bits. Deuce yesterday texted me, said, why don't you see if you can lure Abbott into the Master Control studio again? Because it can be highly entertaining. A 1 o'clock hour, it's time for 5, 3, 4 on DeGrum.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Brought to you by Willow River Company.
Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins. We're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hit, hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Yeah, Bailey Ober gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. Justin Topa allowed 6 runs in just 2/3 of an inning. And Luis Garcia allowed 2 home runs, including a grand slam, as the Twins lost 15-2 last night in Washington, D.C. The Nationals had 6 players record multiple hits, out-hitting the Twins 14-3. Washington totaled 4 home runs, 5 doubles, and 1 triple. Common, your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because I saw a quote in the story, The Gamer from Bailey Ober. And I can relate to this, Tenneby. So here's what Bailey says. Breezed through the first 3 innings and 35 pitches without allowing any base runners during his first time through the Nationals lineup. Ober was nowhere near as effective the second or third time he faced each Nationals batter. He surrendered a season-high 5 runs in 5 innings, blah, blah, as you just mentioned. But here's what he said. I had trouble locating as the game went on. Even in the first 3 innings, I know I had some quick innings, but I felt like I wasn't locating as well as I normally was the last few starts. I play golf occasionally. There are times, have you had this happen to NB? Maybe you've never had this happen to you, where you know that it's just smoke and mirrors, where I just don't feel like, but somehow the ball is going in places and you make a long putt or you hit a good chip, but you know it's just a matter of time. I call it Carl Wallenda golf. You're going to fall off the high wire eventually.
I'm usually always thinking that.
Yes, and I think that's what happened to Ober. He's thinking, I don't know how I'm getting through these innings, but it's working, but I don't feel like I'm locating my stuff. And it's the same thing. I don't feel like my swing is anywhere near how it should be, but I'm somehow, by hook or by crook, I'm making pars and limiting I'm not no blow-up holes, limiting my bogeys, and I think that's what happened to him.
Well, baseball is one of those sports too, where you can as a pitcher, you can not have your best stuff, you can be missing your spots, but if the hitters are also missing their spot,
exactly
missing their spots or hitting the ball hard right at somebody.
That's absolutely correct, and so I think that's what. So that's what I take from that. And the other thing I take is poorly as the Twins really have played over the past. It's the whole league, the American League, the division. Are they still 2-3 games out, and they're how many games under 500? 5 games under 500.
It was a game and a half before yesterday.
Okay, and now I think they're 5 or 6 games under 500, and yet they're
2.5 back. They're 16 and 21.
Yeah, so 5 games under 500, and they're only 2.5 out of first place, which I guess isn't anything to be excited about, but it keeps, for those of us that don't mind the diversion of Major League Baseball during the summer, it's at least it keeps you, for me, mildly interested. If they were 10, 12, 15 games out, like you think they would be with a record like that, I wouldn't pay no never mind at all. But
there's only 2 teams in the American League that are above 500.
I don't think about it. And then even in the National League, there's like 2 divisions where I think the first place team's got like a 9-10 game lead. It's just, I think there's a lot of halves and halves.
So there's only 2 teams in the American League that are above 500. In the NL Central, the last place team is above 500. All 5 teams are above 500.
Yeah, it's odd this year to say the least.
Question number 2.
All Vikings, let's win this game. You'll hear us yell for more.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the state of the skull.
If you remember, last week, free agent wide receiver Jawan Jennings visited the Minnesota Vikings, but no deal was consummated. We haven't heard anything further. My question for you is, Common, which of the following free agent wide receivers intrigue you the most? You have Jawan Jennings, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, Sterling Shepard, Tim Patrick, Tyler Lockett, or Juju Smith-Schuster.
How many of those guys have a lot of baggage? They're that diva wide receiver. Like,
there's a reason they're still available.
Yeah,
There's some really big-time wide receivers
well, there
here.
are some big names there. The guy, I've always loved his game. Who is the guy that PA said was a Hall of Famer for the Saints? That was a surefire Hall of Famer.
Oh, Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. I think Deebo Samuel's a surefire Hall of Famer. I like the way he plays. I like what he brings to the team. Right? He seems to be sort of a he can run the football, he can catch the football, he can do a lot of different things. I just don't know what kind of a fit he is on our club with, because
I don't know how good of a fit Deebo is anywhere except for with Kyle Shanahan.
Maybe that's it. Do you like him as a player, though?
He also apparently, I think, gained a little weight last year. Wasn't necessarily taking care of himself after he got paid.
Does he watch video games instead of the...
But the problem with those types of wide receivers, because he would run the ball so much and was such a pseudo running back, that you wonder how much he's gotten beat up.
Yeah.
The body's gotten beat up. I don't know if Deebo would be a fit here. Kevin O'Connell has typically not been open to those types of players, right? He kind of has his certain skill set. I will say, I know off the field he's a headache.
You're talking Diggs or Tyreek?
Well,
both.
I was about to, yeah. Well, Stephon's even more off the field issues right now.
Yeah, but wasn't he acquitted? Now the NFL could still do it. Didn't I thought I saw that.
Yes,
Steph was acquitted, which I don't know. Anyway, what were you saying?
But Tyreek Hill he's got a lot of personality. He's also had a bunch of off the field stuff going on. He's also past his prime. But I will say I am curious of how he would fit with this team, because he wouldn't just be a third wide receiver. He could be a guy. You can run him different routes than your other two guys. It seems like we've never really had like that. And maybe that's what they were intending Rondale Moore to do last year before he got hurt, and rest in peace, Rondale Moore. But it'd be nice to have, and not that Tyreek's a pure gadget guy, but he's a little gadgety. And it'd be nice to have and I'm sure he's lost a little bit of a step, but to have like a speed guy in the slot, covering the middle, can get a little run after can get some yak. If he's not asking for too much, which I'm guessing he is, and he's got the big ego to go with it, I'd have a little interest in Tyreek Hill. But I don't think KOC would ever go for it.
Yeah.
The Vikings don't seem to want to have those types of players. Like, everyone they have is a great team player that loves football. They don't seem to go for the ego guys very often.
Of those other names, were there any other ones, one or two that would stick? Because, there were, like you say, there were a lot of intriguing names there. But like you say, they're divas, and how many of them are past their prime? And then how much will they cost?
Oh, they're all past their prime. I mean, Keenan Allen's past his prime. Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins is past his prime. Ayuk is the one. I don't know what's been going on with him in San Francisco. There's clearly, he's had some injury stuff going on. Apparently him and San Fran are apparently not on the same page, or there's been some hurt feelings or something.
Yes, I remember that.
But he's still at a young enough age where he could be in his prime. I don't know how much of a salary you would have to take on.
Well, what I think his problem is they were having to pay so many people, and he wasn't one of them getting paid.
No, he did get paid.
Oh, he did get paid.
He did get paid.
Oh, well, then what's his problem? I thought they weren't going to pay, because they had so many people to pay that they weren't going to pay him, and then he became bitter about it. I mean, what do you think he's worth on the open market? $100 million? That's what I tell people all the time. $100 million after taxes is 60. Spend, save.
He got a 4-year, $120 million deal
back
in
his problem
August 2024.
Well, then does he want? What issue could he possibly have?
The Niners voided his 2026 guaranteed money.
Oh. Well, I would have a
after
problem
he did
with
not report for rehabilitation following his 2024 injury.
Well, then,
it's weird. There's stuff going on there but from when you look at the list of a guy who technically might not be past his prime, he'd still be, I would assume he's got to be like 26, 27 years old.
Yeah. Zook. It's Ayuk. Yeah, I think I tend to agree with it. I still like Deebo Samuel, but he might be too beat up now at this point, because you're right, because he does run the ball. I just like the versatility he brought. He was one of those, what do the kids say? Well, I don't think the kids say it anymore. I think it's an older boomer term. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can do so many different things. And I did like that about Samuel. He was always, when he's on the field, you have to pay attention to where he was. I do know that.
Question number 3. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Time now for another edition of Mayday in Green Bay. An inside esoteric analysis of the Aaron Rodgers crisis in Titletown, USA.
Diego does that Mayday, Mayday so good. I just love the way he phrases it, the way the emphasis he puts it. You can tell there is Mayday. Of course, I think those that are regular listeners of the show, we believe it or not, we know he's not with Green Bay anymore, but we just didn't want to redo Mayday in Green Bay as too much of an alliteration. It's still Aaron Rodgers related, so.
Yeah, speaking of Rodgers, quarterback Aaron Rodgers expected to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend and is likely to play for them this season, according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. There is no agreement yet between the Steelers and Rodgers at this time, according to ESPN. Steelers holding their rookie minicamp this weekend. Will the Aaron Rodgers offseason saga finally end this weekend, Colin?
Well, I don't know if it ends this weekend, but I think we're getting very close to the end of Aaron Rodgers' career. It's obvious. And there's nobody out there other than the Steelers that would want him, is there? I mean, could there be one team? But I don't think it's a team where, I don't think Rodgers wants to end his career on a Midland club, a team that's going to win 6-7 games at best, and he's going to stand back there and take a beating I want to play one more season. He wants to try to play for a team that's going to make the playoffs. I guess Pittsburgh is one of those clubs that could, but I don't know if there's anybody else. So I think he does play another year. I don't know if it ends this week, but yeah, he's going to play. He wants to play, and I think Pittsburgh's probably the only place. I think that's the only franchise that wants him right now. Do you think that's the case? It's only Pittsburgh? Is there anybody else out there?
There are kind of some Arizona rumors that were happening last week. That's probably just coming from Rodgers' camp because they're trying to make more money.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't even know who would be in the need for a starting quarterback of Rodgers' ilk at this point.
534 brought to you by the Willow River Company. They're doing landscape work at my place this week. They took down some trees. They do. They keep your trees healthy. They'll remove them. They'll plant them. They'll maintain them for you. They just got my irrigation system up and running. Then they also have, you can boondale and save, all these different services in your yard, like a 534. WillowRiverCompany.com is a place to go. WillowRiverCompany.com.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually, 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
As we go to break, Tennessee has a keyword Grand in Your Hand cash contest brought to you by BigDeck.com. Get your deck on.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks for their national cash contest. Enter the keyword GRAND at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is GRAND. Enter now at KFAN.com. Get ready, Wild fans. This Saturday, watch Game 3 outdoors at Grand Casino Arena. Free entry with doors opening at 5 with food, drinks, and live music before puck drop for Game 3 at 8. Parking will be tight. Plan ahead. Learn more at wild.com/playoffs.
We talked to Little Twins during 534, brought up by Bailey Ober. Dan Hayes writes Twins baseball for The Athletic. He did an analysis piece from probably about a week ago now, but I saved it because I thought I had some interesting quotes from Tom Pohlad, who is now He's in charge of the day-to-day operations of the club. It was Joe Pohlad the last couple of years. And family got together and decided they needed to make a change. And if you remember, I still look at those quotes that Tom had when he took over. He said it caused a strain in the relationship with his brother. His brother, Joe, I think, wanted to continue to operate. Well, he wanted to continue to operate the team so much that when the Twins were still on the the Twins announced that they were looking to sell the club. And I remember Joe said something about, well, if we sell it, I'd still like to run it. And it really just doesn't work. That'd be like, yeah, I'm going to sell my car to you, but I still want to drive it. It doesn't work that way in most cases. But the headline said how Tom Pohlad is adjusting to urgency while balancing the 162-game season. The story starts out with and then it's in quotes, so I think Tom said this, living and dying with every pitch, breaking television remotes.
Wow.
In other words, he's had his throw pillow moments that I've had. Breaking television remotes after the Twins lose and isn't proud of how overnight he's developed into a superstitious fan. New Twins controlling owner Tom Pohlad is apprehensive enough about changing his team's fortunes that he sat through miserable rain for all 9 innings on that 2 Monday nights ago because he refused to vacate his front row seat after the offense started scoring runs. They started scoring. He thought, if I leave, they won't score any more runs. As he navigates his first season as the club's executive chair and CEO, Pohlad knows he has much to learn about navigating the ups and downs of a baseball season. He says, it's been a learning curve trying to manage my own emotions and understand what a winning streak means and doesn't mean, and understand what a losing streak means and doesn't mean. I also want to make sure we have a sense of urgency on things. I want to make sure we're building on momentum, and I also want to make sure we're finding ways to improve. So he's kind of just learning as he goes, which I guess can be good and bad. You would think more bad, but you got to start somewhere, right? Everybody's got to have that first opportunity. But what I did find interesting in this piece is where the hell did it go now? All right, Kennedy, go ahead and give it to me. Yeah, there you go. Here's what I was looking at. Despite the team's shortcomings, Pohlad remains upbeat about the Twins' chances. He likes how the clubhouse is operating under Shelton's leadership, describing Zoll's decision to promote 3 of the club's top 4 pitching prospects as more aggressive than in years past. Pohlad thinks the Twins are doing what they can in the moment to improve the club. He says, we've been aggressive, we've been creative, we're doing the best we can with what's in our control at this moment in time. As we go throughout the year, more opportunities present themselves for us to put action to words. So long as we do that, I'll be happy. We owe it to our fan base as much as we owe it to Shelty, Zoli, and the players to do everything we can to improve our team at that point. And it is interesting where they have brought up some young pitchers without even hesitating. And that was one of many pet peeves that I have. One of my complaints about the Pohlads was they were so concerned about the universal language, money, that every move was dictated on service time and arbitration eligibility. It really did. All they were concerned about is how much money are we going to have to pay this player, and how much longer will we have team control over him, instead of saying, you know what, we bring this guy up here right now. This might make a big difference in the club. The club's pretty good right now. We look like we've got some nice pieces. We're playing well. Might not be the age of Aquarius, but we won't know until we give it a try. And yet they wouldn't do it. And these guys would sit down in the minor leagues for year after year after year. Now, there's good and bad with that, obviously. But I at least like the approach. I would rather that they what's the word? Not promote. That's the word I'm looking for. Promote younger players that are deserving. If you're tearing it up in the minor leagues, let's say your starting staff is struggling and you got a guy down on the farm that's tearing it up. And I know there's a big difference between AAA and the big league club, but I like a CEO and chief operating officer. Are those the same titles? No.
COO?
CEO. I like when they say arbitration eligibility be danged. Forget about that. Let's go ahead and let's bring guys up and see if they can play in the big leagues. I know there's always the danger of rushing a kid into the big league lineup and he's not ready for it. Yeah, well, you know what? He's got to try sometime. So I at least like that approach. Whether it's going to result in wins, I don't know, but I like that. It doesn't seem to be there's that concern, at least here early on.
Well, I'll give Tom some credit in that I've heard that he's going to every single home game.
Right.
And when I heard that, I'm like, well, don't all owners do that? And apparently that was previously, the owners within the Pohlad family were not showing up very often, whereas he is at least trying to make himself visible every single day. So I think that is a good thing. It does appear like he's actually someone who has passion in the team. The organization does want them to succeed. Whereas before, I think it was just, we always felt it was just like, it's a business to these guys.
Right.
They really don't care. Do they want to win? Sure. But is that their number one priority? No. Now, the fact that he's like throwing and breaking television remotes is a little concerning from an emotional maturity standpoint. That the person overseeing everything is supposed to be kind of the adult in the room.
So you mean when I've tossed clubs on the golf course, I'm not showing emotional maturity? I think you might be right.
Well, and I've had those issues before too.
We have.
But eventually you get older and some of that stuff goes away. So it's a concern that this early in a season for a team that's not supposed to be doing anything.
Well, you know what I think it might be part of this too, Teneby, is a lot of it might just be pride, family, because the family name has been run through the mud.
Sure.
And Tom he has stated he really didn't have any interest in running the club. That's not what he wanted to do. And then with how, let's just say the Pohlad name has a lot of negative connotations, right? And it wasn't going well under Joe, and Joe did the old right size, the payroll and this and that and the other thing. And I think finally Tom just said that, the family must have all got together and said, somebody's got to grab the bull by the horns here and run this club like a baseball team is supposed to be run. And so he's decided to do that. And even said in this piece, like, you say about the emotional maturity, he's not proud of the fact, but at least he's getting, like you said, the one thing it does show, at least there's somebody that appears to have a little bit of passion about it. If it's just newly found passion, if he never had it before because he didn't care about baseball, it meant not. Like who's the other brother that does the movies? Wait, is that Bill Pohlad? I think that's Bill or Bob or Billy Joe or whoever. He has no interest in running the team either. He wants to make movies. So he has no interest in it. Not everybody wants to run a Major League Baseball team.
And Tom, at the very least, he appears to be very media accessible.
Yes.
Now, sometimes I roll my eyes with what he's saying, but he's at least trying to make a connection, it appears, to the fan base, and you have to do that, I think.
Here's another paragraph, two paragraphs that have a lot to do with trying to make the team win, or at least be competitive now and not be afraid of the arbitration eligibility and what's the other one? Is our arbitration eligibility? What did I say? I can't remember now. There's two things: arbitration eligibility,
service
time, and arbitration eligibility. It says a month in, Pohlad regrets he wasn't in place at the start of the offseason to instill an aggressive mindset as the club's roster was assembled. He took over mid-December. He hopes the Twins will have an opportunity to add to the roster at the trade deadline and that the team remains competitive. It says, in the meantime, Pohlad likes how the Twins didn't hesitate to quickly promote pitching prospects like Connor Prelip, Kendry Rojas, and Andrew Morris to try and address shortcomings on the roster. And those are the moves that it says he likes the way they didn't hesitate. I still have to think he signs off on those, or maybe he's just given Shelton and Zoll, free reign. You do what you do and just tell me what you did later. Either way, I like a team that's more aggressive. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere because we're so short-staffed in the bullpen and Our everyday lineup seems to be up and down and more down, but at least it's a change, for crying out loud. When you got to give it a little bit of time here. We'll take a break, come back. I got a couple of wild texts, Tenneby, that I want to bounce off of you. And this is probably a good way to lead into it because it's a little wild today with Tenneby. What you got?
Yeah, this is Wild Today brought to you by Chanhassen Dinner Theater. Today is day 2 of the Wild's 3-day break before they host the Colorado Avalanche in Game 3 Saturday night. Head coach John Hines had no update on Joel Eriksson-Ek and Jonas Brodin, saying that neither have skated since their injuries. Hines also said he has not made a decision for the goalie position for Game 3. And Hines also did say that Zach Bogosian is making progress, and they're optimistic for him on Saturday. Wild and Avalanche, Game 3, Saturday night, 8 p.m. at Grand Casino Arena. Of course, you can hear that game right here on The Fan. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Chanhassen Dinner Theater. Buy tickets to Guys and Dolls at chanhassendt.com. Never miss your chance to know what the latest sports news is in town. Chances to win tickets and knowing what's going on with all your favorite KFAN shows. Follow KFAN 1003 on all of our social channels like Instagram, TikTok, and X Now. Stay connected and follow the sports leader, KFAN.
I spilled coffee, Tenneby, but not on the countertop, all of my white sweatshirt. What is wrong with me? Why am I so clumsy? And you know when you spill coffee on a white article of clothing, you're done so.
Yeah, it's over.
No, it'll come out. But I tried to rinse it out in the sink. That didn't work. Now it'll come out in the worst part. Oh, you know what I learned today? You know, I do Washington and Oregon. I'm playing golf this morning. I only played 9 because there was a frost delay, so I wasn't able to get all 18 holes in, which is okay. But anyway, went out in front of a guy from Canada. And he said, if you are from Toronto, they don't say Toronto. You know what they say? Toronto. They drop the other T. So
Toronto.
They just say Toronto. They don't go, where are you from? I'm from Toronto. They don't say that. They just say Toronto. So the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, well, it's just like when you say, I worked at a radio station in a town called Kemmerer. It was named after the gentleman who founded the city, Kemmerer. Nobody in Kemmer called it Kemmerer. You just called it Kemmer. You just dropped the ER. So I don't ask me why, but in Toronto, it's just Toronto. Toronto is the way to say it. So keep that in mind.
I've always dropped the S on Illinois. Do they say Illinois?
No. Well, I think they do. I think it is Illinois, and they just drop the S, just like it's Toronto, but they drop the T, and it's just Toronto. That's a good point. I think you've come up with a fine comparison there. It's supposed to be Illinois, but they just call it Illinois. And the same thing with Toronto. This text message came in during our Twins talk to the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line. It says, it's insanity for Pohlad to say he's doing the best with what they have after they chose to trade their best players last year. That's like Abbott firing PA and Barrero and saying he's doing the best he can. Now, I see what he did there. After the Pohlads traded their best players, and then he says Abbott firing PA and Barrero. What he's taking a veiled cheap shot that I saw through, basically saying that Common isn't one of the best players on the Fan. I'm not one of the best talents.
Also, what doesn't make sense is if you're going to talk about best players in the view of the bosses, you would have said power trip.
The what? Say it again.
If you're going to say
the name.
The Power Trip. Power Trip Morning Show.
Power Trip Morning Show.
Oh, they're playing the Initials game tomorrow. So much fun.
It's so much fun to be really exciting. Couple of texts came in on the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line when we were talking about the Wild. And this one says, Tenneby, a couple I want to throw off of you. This one says, why wouldn't you put Middleton with Faber-Fabe? Why would you not put Middleton with Faber?
You could. The risk there is, one, I don't know if I'd really want to break up Quinn Hughes and Faber because I think they play well together. And then the second part of that would be you now have your two smallest defensemen playing on the same defensive pairing in Quinn Hughes and Jared Spurgeon. So if you're playing any physicality of a line, you might run into trouble. But you could. I would go the Damon Hunt route because I feel like even though I haven't seen him play against the highest of competition because he's been on your third pairing, I like what he's done so far and he can skate. He's a very good skater.
This one says the Avs had 29 road wins this season, best in the NHL, and have not lost in regulation in Minnesota since 2022, 6-0-2. And then he writes, good luck. Stats don't always equate. Just because it's 6-0-2 since 2022 doesn't mean that can't change into 6-1-2. But I think that this would be my guess, and maybe you're following the league closer than I am. The reason the Avs won 29 games on the road this season, and that's best in the NHL, they're the best team.
They're the best team in hockey.
Yeah. So they're.
It doesn't matter what building they're in.
It doesn't, because I've always thought that's a little overrated. I mean, I know there are advantages, like you say, if you're the home team, you get line switch, you get the last call on it.
Which is probably important for the Wild just because they were getting exposed in that regard in so many ways in Colorado.
Okay.
That doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to come in and win 6-0 Saturday night, though.
And sleeping in the same bed and, this and that and the other thing. And not having to travel, I get that. But generally the best teams in the league have the better road records because they're the better teams in the league. Also, when you start going back in time and you're going back to 2022, how far back can I go in time to make my point then, right? Because the Rosens of the world will come on here. Well, the Wild have had success coming back in the series against the Colorado Avalanche before. In 2003, the Wild trailed 3-1 in that series, and they came back and won the series. 2014, they were down 2-0. They lost their first 2 games in Colorado, and they won that series in 7. So we've had a history against the Colorado Avalanche of being down in series and coming back and winning. But again, that is meaningless when it comes to this series. So your point well taken. This one says, and I remember this now, and maybe you can explain what we did there that was so successful or if it was just timing. It says we smoked Colorado after the Olympic break, and we did, right? Didn't we destroy Colorado?
We beat them at Colorado, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? I mean, I think we just routed them. It was a laugher. Now, what was it about that? I know you can't compare coming out of the break, Olympic break, the regular season with playoffs because the intensity level is ratcheted up a couple 6-7 levels. But was there anything we did differently in that, or is that nothing? You can't go back and say, let's watch film from that game, guys, and see what we did right there, or is that just meaningless at this point?
Well, let me tell you how different the teams are now compared to where they were then.
Okay.
That was before the trade deadline. So Colorado had not yet picked up Nazem Kadri, who is a top 6 center who's good enough to be their third line center because they're so deep at the center position. They didn't acquire Scott Roy Waugh, right? The Wild.
Isn't his name Roy?
Yeah, Scott Roy.
Yeah, Scott Roy. Kind of embarrassing for you, the hockey guy.
The Wild in that game did not have Mick Herron. They did not have Nick Foligno. But they probably also did have Joel Eriksson-Ek.
Okay.
And they had Jonas Brodin.
Okay.
Right? So these are just two different teams than the teams that played that day. So it's... clearly some of the core players and some of the structure of the team were there. But, the Wild played them 3 times, and they also lost to the Avalanche during the regular season. And also the pressure level and the meaning of a regular season game in February does not compare to early May in the playoffs.
This one says Mike Grimm pronounces it Illinois. He's
an Illinois guy?
I didn't know he did.
I know Henry Lake always called it Illinois.
Well, what I found interesting was I ran into Grimm yesterday in the hallway. He said, shot a 79 today, huh? And I went, yeah. And I thought, how did he find that out? How would he know what I shot? Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know another state pronunciation that really throws me off?
What's that?
The word Kansas is inside of the word Arkansas yet they
It's
are
not-
pronounced differently.
Yeah, it should be Arkansas.
It should be Arkansas, or it
Yeah.
should be Arkansas.
You know, these
Kansas.
are the things that keep me up
Right?
at night as well. We're a lot
It
alike.
makes
there.
no sense.
We're absolutely right.
I'm assuming it came from the same word.
And if you look at the name Massachusetts, it doesn't look like that at all. Well, I like this one. I'm trying to imagine if KFAN had a talent room and a producer room like NFL teams have a quarterback room. Would it be a collaborative? I don't know. A talent room.
Huh?
Which is better, the Vikings quarterback room or the fans' talent room?
The only thing bigger than egos in that talent room is your prostate.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Here's one. Quinn and Faber need to be split up. Both are playing with offense number one on their mind and would make D pairing depth better. I trust, is it Petrie or Petrie?
Petrie.
Petrie, he won cups with the Panthers. Does that make any sense?
He won cups with the Panthers, but he hasn't looked great so far in a while. Quinn Hughes has been great through 2 games. I have zero issues with
But I guess what he's saying, though, is because that pairing is more of an offensive-minded pairing rather than defense. If you split them.
Brock Faber is a defensive-minded player.
Okay.
Brock Faber does both.
Okay.
And frankly, Quinn Hughes' defense was concerning me at the end of the regular season. He's been great defensively in the playoffs. So I have zero issues with them out on the ice. They usually control play when they're on the ice. Quinn Hughes has been great in the series. Game 1, he was the best player on the ice.
Okay. Here's one that says,
And in fact, like, the play of the other defenseman just means those two should play more.
this one says, name a year Eck isn't hurt in the playoffs. Time to move on from Eck or start giving him maintenance days like they do in the NBA. Is he injury prone? Tend to be. You have to.
He missed. 2023. He missed our series against the Dallas Stars. He plays a brand of hockey that puts his body in danger. He will block shots. He plays very physical in the corners and goes in front of the net where you're taking cross checks nonstop and you're risking getting hit by pucks. Now, that being said, the injury he got in the Dallas series, he just kind of slipped on his own and went into the boards. I mean, that could have happened to anyone. So I'm not ready to say he's injury prone. I just think he puts himself in more of a position to get hurt than anyone else. But that one was just a fluky, weird one.
Speaking of fluky and weird, do you think this is strange that more people are sending texts now about pronunciations of states and cities than they are about the Wild or the Wolves?
Well, it's more entertaining. It's better content.
Because I'm getting tell me, for instance, do you say Faribault or Faribault? Because I think it's Faribault.
As a child, I always just assumed it was Faribault because that's the way it's spelled. But it is, there is no LT sound there. It's supposed to be Faribault.
Faribault. How do you pronounce Des Moines? My brother used to always say when we'd go there to do college shows, Des Moines in Des Moines. Because there was money there.
Brilliant!
How do you say it? I say Des Moines.
Well, it's Des Moines, yeah.
You drop the S, Des Moines, and you drop the other S. So it's not Des Moines, it's Des Moines. Why do they have an S at the end of that? Who
makes no sense.
Who is in charge of that? Makes no ends. That's how you would say sense. No, you'd make no end if you dropped the S out of sense. Let's see.
Is it Woodbury or Woodbury?
Is Wood? I live in Woodbury. We say Woodbury.
Okay,
but
so it's more sound. It's more spelled like a Berry is the sound. Yeah,
exactly. Well, here's another one. Louisville or Louisville? It's Louisville. It's not Louisville. Where does it say Louis?
I always love that one.
But right? It's spelled Louis.
It's spelled Louis, yeah.
It's not Looey. It's not Louisville. It's Louisville. These are the things. We've done this one before. Nevada.
I'm a Nevada guy.
And I'm a Nevada guy. That's where we do Speedway. So it's controversial. See if there's more. I mean, people just love it. Here's one. I like this. Because they dropped the T, I'm going to add an extra T and call it Toronto. Or Toronto T.
Brilliant.
He's going to call Toronto T.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, why not? And is it Calgary or Calgary? These are the things that, and I don't think there are any answers to them. I don't know if it just becomes, it's just localized. Like I say, in Kemmer, you knew if somebody was from that area, they wouldn't go Kemmerer. It was just Kemmer. And so there you go. We always ask the question, not always, but you'll have it for me in 534 oftentimes. Commented the four major men's sports teams. Which one do you think has the best chance to win a ship? Is it the Vikings, the Wild, the Wolves, or the Twins? So we had two of our two winter teams on the men's side get into postseason play. Both got out of the first round. And now both, the Wild are down 0-2. It feels like the Wolves are down like 3-1 right after that beat.
I don't feel that way at all.
Oh.
I feel very confident in the Wolves.
Oh, do you? Oh, I don't. I don't at all. To me, a beat down like that feels like we lost 2 games. We actually had the losing margin was like what we would see in 3. So then I guess you would say you think the Wolves, you feel better about the Wolves than the Wild right now?
Yes. Yeah, I think the Wolves will win game 3 against San Antonio.
Okay.
Wild are just playing the best team in hockey. So I think they can win, and I think they will win game 3. Problem is when you're playing the best team in hockey, you're down 2-0. I mean, your margin of error is basically, you got to win 4 out of 5 against the best team in hockey. So maybe a remotivated Volstead just stands on his head for the rest of the series and gives them a chance. And I do think these couple days off will be good for the team, but it's also with the injuries to Eriksson Ek and Brodin and not being able to replace that. Like, it's just, when you're playing a team like Colorado, you just can't afford to have anyone of that magnitude missing. Whereas the Wolves clearly, Wolves don't even have their best lineup out there, and they're competing with San Antonio.
Yeah. And
the Wolves seem to be a different team at home, too. That crowd's been bonkers in the playoffs the last couple of years.
133.
They feed off of them.
133-95. A beatdown of epic proportion, which is why I guess I feel like it felt like losing 2 games, even though it was only 1. We were very.
The Wild beat the Dallas Stars 6-1 in game 1, and then Stars came back and won the next 2.
I think we were excited about Io coming back, right? Because while Ann had been out in DiVincenzo, he was brilliant. He had the 43-point game against Denver. He also had a 25-point game. Are these numbers correct? He only played 10 minutes. Didn't score any points.
Well, he got hurt last night.
Did he get hurt again?
Yeah, heel.
When did that happen? That must have been after I fell. That was first half or second? Because I gave up after the first half. So now I said, now that's, now we're even worse. Well, now I am giving up on the club. Yeah. Go ahead and give me the life jacket now. So, it just felt like it was such a beatdown that, because I mean, they started the second half. They were down, was it 24 at the half? And then I think they scored the first 4 or 5 points and looked pretty good. And then all of a sudden it was just, it was an onslaught. I don't know. Maybe I should feel better about the Wolves right now, but, and then even if you get by the, I know that Oklahoma City isn't the best team ever assembled, but they look mighty fine, and I don't know how you can get past them either. So that's 2 clubs. San Antonio's good. It's a tall order. I'm not sure I'm real confident about it, but maybe I should just follow your lead. You like the way they play, you're feeling good about them. So I don't know.
They're going to win game 3 tomorrow night. Sorry, I don't have the positrometer if that's what you're looking for.
No, I was looking for.
Oh. What do you want to bet? $2?
Oh, I'd go a little bit more than that.
$6.
All right, not quite that much.
Meet in the middle, $4.
You want to bet $4?
Sure.
You take the.
I'll take the Wolves.
You'll take the Wolves. I'll take San Antonio. And this is why it would be worth me losing $4. You know, in other words, if the Wolves
Either way,
lose,
you're happy?
Well, yeah, I'd be disappointed, but I got $4 in my pocket. And then if the Wolves win, it's just $4. It's not that big of a deal, so I'd be delighted. So,
But now I could just be devastated. Have the Wolves lose and I lose $4. I mean,
let me ask you this: would you break the TV remote? Would you pull it?
If you had agreed to the $6, that might have set me over the edge.
That would be a bit more. And then we got to go back to. I think San Antonio is pronounced correctly. It is spelled the way it looks, right? San Antonio. It's not like Louisville. It's San Antonio.
Well, after this series, though, they're going to have the ANT in capital letters because he's going to be owning that town. San Antonio.
Hold on. Well done, Tenneby. Well done. Brilliant. The legendary one, Mark Rosen.
By the way, before we move on, I saw a video of these Spurs fans last night. They were dressed as Raid. They made like these cardboard things of ants, like actual looking ants, the animals, the insect, and then some were dressed up as Raid. And Anthony Edwards saw him and was like laughing at him. He thought it was hilarious. It was great. That was a genius bit. I like it.
You know what I like? You know how teams will do whiteouts and this. I like what they do in San Antonio.
The three different colors?
Oh, don't you like that? I think that's just sweet. And then it's, they got the colors on the floor and the uniforms. That's some creative thinking, in my book.
We got to do the next Wild game, all the Christmas colors to red, green, white all the way around.
I like it. Either that or the green and the wheat. We'll break. We'll come back. Look, there he is. He's walking into master control right now. The legendary one, Mark Rosen, will join us.
Oh, boy.
We'll see what he has to say about the game last night between the Wolves and the Spurs. It's the Common Man program with Common Man, Tenneby, and soon to be joined by Mark Rosen right here in the band.